This is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Jeff currently hates his life. He spends all day in an office either working on computers, answering phone calls, or dealing with members of the public, like Karen here, all while having to put on a stupid smiling face while Karen asks for a personal loan from the bank to buy 30 more chihuahuas. Jeff hates his life. But one day, Jeff was walking home from his work when he saw a recruitment poster for the U.S. Army, baby, which he was immediately rejected from because he couldn't complete a single push-up. But not to fear, the Army recruiter had another suggestion, that Jeff join the LEGO City Police Force. And that's exactly what our buddy here did. So Jeff has now become an officer of the law. And they have also given him a gun. Maybe one of the stupidest things you could ever do. It's Jeff, people. He cannot be trusted. But regardless, his very first case involves the local soap and suds business, which incidentally caught fire and burnt down.
Wait, what?
Now this entire business was owned by Jeff's good friend Bob. And Bob here, well, he had run into some trouble with the mob, and the mob took it upon themselves to firebomb the business, sending a message to Bob. Once the dust settled, the business was completely condemned. It couldn't be run and operated with this much fire damage on the inside. And so Bob was out of luck. However, our boy Jeff here
My name is Jeff.
was on the case. Until he wasn't, because his sergeant, well, he was getting paid off by the mob in order to keep quiet. Meaning there would be no justice for this arson due to a crooked cop and a mafioso. Hey, the gabagool. Jeff was absolutely livid about this situation. He went home to sit on his couch and have a cappuccino and think about what his next plan might be. And then it came to him. He killed the Batman. Sorry, not the Batman. He killed the mafia. It was that simple. Revenge.
Yes, excellent.
Jeff went to the mafioso's house, who was shocked to see a police officer brandishing a firearm outside his domicile. Jeff came here to play, and play he did as he forced the mafioso to walk to a condemned building.
Oh, hell no!
In fact, it was the Arkham Asylum, which Jeff had walked by every day after his old job. Once inside the old building, Jeff didn't shoot the mafia boss. Instead, he went outside the old asylum and locked the door. With the place locked up tight, Jeff took out a firebomb. And well, he burned the place straight to the ground, making it look like an accident. Like an old mob boss went into a dangerous building and got what was coming to him.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Jeff then headed to the police station. He had one more person to blame for his friend's shop burning down. His fellow officer, who truly did not suspect that Jeff
My name is Jeff.
was going to be up to anything. After all, he probably thought the whole situation was forgotten about. That is until Jeff spiked the sergeant's sody pop with a little bit of poison.
Oh my God!
When the sergeant drank said poisoned sody pop, he died, face planting in the police headquarters. Other officers came to see what had happened, but Jeff was not suspected. Everyone just thought the poor sergeant had a heart attack and keeled over, but not Jeff. Jeff knew exactly what he had done, and he loved it. That night, as he tried drifting off to sleep, he couldn't help but feel he had accomplished something, and he had determined one thing: he would keep doing this. So, he went to the file storage center of the police station the very next day. And once there, he started rifling through all of the most wanted criminals in LEGO City. His plan? To serve vigilante justice and one by one eliminate them.
Very nice.
He started by opening up Tinder on his phone and catfishing a local murderer that never got caught. There wasn't enough evidence to convict.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Once they met up, he realized it was the Karen that he had met at his previous job. He suggested they go to a secluded beach. They were enjoying a lovely picnic by the water when suddenly Jeff took out a syringe and stabbed her in the back. Fast-acting venom had Karen meet her demise. Jeff had begun concocting various weapons inside of his dungeon to take out his victims. news. The only problem was, this time when Jeff reported to the scene of the crime as a police officer, there was a new hotshot detective in town. This man was suspect of the murder at first glance. Even though the venom would have mimicked a heart attack, he just wasn't so sure. Luckily for Jeff, the detective wasn't on his trail, so Jeff continued. He would research the most wanted and track them down, luring them into a trap. His next victim, a local dealer who was selling Ligma to children.
What the Sigma?
Jeff told him that he wanted to buy some Ligma. Ligma balls. Ha ha ha! So he lured him onto a roof high up above the city, where Jeff lifted him and yoked him off, where the criminal lay dead at the bottom of the sidewalk. Jeff, of course, reported to the scene of the crime, as did the detective, who was curious. Why were so many bodies showing up of LEGO City's worst criminals who had never gotten what they deserved until now?
That's suspicious.
At this point, Jeff realized, hey, that comment probably meant he was a little onto something. So he decided to take a trip to the old deserted LEGO City warehouse. Nobody had been in this place for decades. And as you could see, pretty much all the windows in it were vandalized. And the top floor had multiple holes in it. It would make for the perfect serial killer's hideout. And that's exactly what Jeff made it. What's up, gamers? I'm here to tell you about Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an amazing place where you can get some fire deals on all sorts of video games. Seriously, it's like 60 to 95% off, as you can see here. These are all of the Star Wars titles they have. They literally have every Star Wars title. You can also get XCOM here, Men of War Assault Squad 2, all of the games I play on the channel you can buy here for extremely cheap prices. If you use my affiliate link in the description, it helps me out a ton. So thank you guys for listening to this sponsorship, and thank you to Instant Gaming for continuing to sponsor the channel. Inside the dusty old building, Jeff would move in his chemistry set.
Sussy baka.
Which of course he would use to develop more poisons and other things. On top of that, or should I say below, on the floor beneath, this is where Jeff would take care of business. He would build in a small makeshift bed, where people like this billionaire criminal who scammed retirees out of their pensions, made drugs unaffordable, and profiteered off war. Yeah, this ain't a good dude. Would meet their demise after Jeff captured them and proceeded to skewer them. Speaking of which, Jeff here, well, he began to get a little bit nostalgic for what he was doing. And so he created a trophy room. A room in the house where he would keep a number of his weapons. From various axes that he would use, very American Psycho of him, as well as some medieval maces for when he was feeling zesty.
We add a little bit of spice.
And a wide assortment of kitchen knives. Not to mention his trusty shovel, which Jeff would use to create makeshift graveyards for the other criminals on the bottom floor. Speaking of which, this layer was mainly used for such things. The hiding of evidence. Whether that be through chopping up his enemies and feeding them to the piggies, very American mobster style, or taking various chemicals, much of which were highly corrosive, and sticking the bodies plus the chemicals into large plastic containers like Breaking Bad and dissolving them that way. Or he'd go the simple route by taking a costume and shoving the body into said costume, putting the head on it, and calling it a day. Of course, this one does run the risk of ghosts coming into the costume and wreaking havoc on him, a la Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's a risk Jeff was willing to take. He obviously was lacking a moral compass at this point. Even though he was attacking well-known criminals, it's still morally unjust for the justice system to be circumvented and vigilante killings to occur. And Jeff certainly had taken it too far now. The body count was on the rise by such a degree that our boy Jeff here, well, he was on the verge of being caught. For you see, Jeff got lazy. He had killed someone in the city streets.
You what?
And he had to run because there was a witness. Someone had seen Jeff commit the act, but they couldn't quite place his face. However, this ended up working out for the detective. Because Jeff was scared off, he didn't wipe off the handle of the knife, and the detective was able to get fingerprints off of it. He ran those fingerprints in the lab and was shocked to see it was one of his own officers who was behind the killings. Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
This was troublesome, but the evidence made sense. Jeff was always disappearing at odd times, and he was always in the evidence locker in the information rooms where he'd be able to find out about said criminals to go and kill. So the detective needed to get the SWAT team ready to make the arrest. He locked and loaded his pistol and then grabbed his SWAT team members. He had his breach and clear riot shield unit, his covert sniper unit ready to give overwatch, and of course, additional CQB units in case things got dicey while trying to take down Jeff. But upon entering Jeff's lair, they quickly realized that this was a house of horrors.
I'm in danger.
Dead bodies were lying about everywhere. Their own man was clearly a deranged madman. Nothing could have prepared them for the sheer volume of evidence they found, nor the disturbingness of everything within this gigantic house of horror crime scene. What they especially couldn't prepare for was the C4 explosives that Jeff had lined the walls of this horror house with, which quickly exploded. The detective was the only survivor, having watched from the outside as the SWAT team had infiltrated the place. But at this point, Jeff knew that the jig was up. He decided to enjoy his last moments of freedom on a park bench, just outside the shop where it all began. And soon enough, the detective found him. They sat together for a few moments, not talking, just in silence. The detective's job was done, but at what cost? And Jeff, he was the true villain.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Who would now spend his life behind bars in a high-security prison under constant watch. There would be no escape for Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
His consequences would be met with action. And for today's video, we're going to be giving away these two LEGO City police officers here to one lucky winner, and we'll also be throwing in a BrickTactical.com bandit for you guys as well. All you gotta do to enter is hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, and comment down below, what are you dressing up for this Halloween? Last year we did some supernatural LEGO minifigures, and this year I figured, let's build a true monster. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.